To be honest, I've always wanted to do a review of this game for years now, but never knew how to do this game justice. Don't get me wrong, this game is fantastic and scary at the same exact time. But after playing the game 5 times, 2 times when I was 14, 2 more times when I was 18, and 1 final time for this review, I have to say that playing this now in my later years, with more time to study and examine, there's just not any games out there like The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. From bone-chilling notes to witches in a forest and a family sewn in dark intent, grab some popcorn and check all your evidence, and remember that walkthroughs are not allowed because today we're going to be talking about The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. When it comes to the developers of Vanishing of Ethan Carter, we're dealing with a small independent Polish team based in Warsaw that was formed in 2012 called the Astronauts. They were originally part of a prior team called People Can't Fly in 2002, but left after it was sold to Epic Games. Originally, People Can't Fly was created with the idea of helping raise awareness of the Poland's contributions to the video game industry, starting with their first title, Painkiller. It's a first-person shooter like the Quake or Doom on the Xbox original with the emphasis of killing a large amount of zombies. And after Painkiller hit the shelves, it was a major success, which led to an agreement with THQ for another title called Come Midnight, allowing the team of 20 to pretty much grow up to 70. But after a year and a half of production, THQ canceled the game to avoid going out of business. From there, they contacted Epic Games for a copy of the Unreal Engine to make a demo for funding, but Epic's vice president was impressed with the demo they were able to create within a month and pretty much secured them a port for the new game Gears of War and Bulletstorm. But after a year, Epic started moving people from People Can Fly to Epic, and the small team of 2 stated that they would be leaving the company to start a studio called Astronauts. The reason for leaving was because they were afraid that Epic was becoming more focused on games as a service than an actual narrative or story-based game, and after a couple of new hires in a couple of months, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter was created. To be honest, this game is scary in the way that you would call Amnesia scary, where you have a heavy feeling that something or someone is following you, maybe in the bushes or behind that door or in that graveyard. But this game's horror is very tuned down. You never really see the monster, but I think that actually makes the game perfect at times. Having this open location where you can travel and do whatever you wish, but also at the same time being slowly pushed forward by the fear that one wrong step or one wrong turn, one open door could be your last. Where horror is an element, I would have to say it's a backdrop to the plot. In this game, we're introduced to a very small town called Red Creek Valley. The main characters that we learn of are called the Carters. They're a strange family with tons of imperfections. Take for example Ethan's grandfather, a man who constantly is trying his hardest to do the right thing but is always being put inside situations where he has to make the darkest of choices. You can tell that he doesn't want to do this by the way that he talks to himself, acting as if he's speaking to his late wife.
It has to be this way. The sleeper must not wake.
One person in the cast that I have to say caught my interest was Missy, Ethan's mother. From the beginning, we are taught to believe that she would be a kind and understanding mother, but throughout the whole entire game, she's constantly going out of her way to get Ethan, and let's just say make his life difficult.
That is putting our boy in that crypt.
And bricking him up, giving him to the sleeper. Forever.
You know he's harmless. You know this is wrong.
Chad, finish those bricks before he wakes up.
Ah, my eye!
There are also other casts too, but I don't really wish to give away the plot just in case anyone's interested. I would say the setting for this game is beautifully scary. It's exploring a nice building and finding out that every single room on the inside is rotten and decayed. It's a nice yin and yang situation, where everything looks perfect from the outside, beautiful skies, trees, and nice house exteriors, but the true problem is from the inside, what's hidden from the public eye, or what's hidden in the mind. And speaking of the mind, I feel like I would be doing this game an injustice if I didn't speak about the sleeper. Throughout the town, there are notes left by Ethan or just simple conversation from family members where we learn that a monster that hunts the town named the Sleeper.
Stay away!
Ethan, I'm sick too. I can feel the sleeper in my head.
Then fight it!
And no, this is not any monster that will chase you or hunt you down, but this monster drives into the mind of each person inside of the town, constantly wanting to get Ethan, the child that we came here to rescue. The sleeper never has to leave his home because it takes over the minds of anyone nearby until it gets with it pretty much once, forcing some characters to act the way they never would, or just changing the character's personality, like Missy or Ed, like I stated earlier. Two characters that, if were left alone, would really be one of the best people out there, but by being forced by the sleeper to change their heart, they become the evil that they've always run from. Which, to be honest, is perfect, because sometimes horror isn't something that we can see, but maybe it's the people that we love doing things that we hate to see. Now, when it comes to the gameplay, I would have to say inside this aspect it follows more of an Amnesia with less steps. In this game, we play as a detective, and that's really our main job, just to find clues and gain understanding of what's really going on here. The main gameplay is walking, search, interact, and put pieces together to solve the puzzle. But unlike other horror games, there is no fighting mechanics. So I would say less of Amnesia and more of Outlast, if we're being honest here. Where you could fight back, but your main thing here is just to hide and find a way to escape. And to be honest, I like the approach because not all problems can be solved with a shotgun blast or a trap. Some problems are best solved just by literally just making it until tomorrow. Now I can tell that the art design by Astronauts really took their time here in making this seem as realistic as possible, and it shows. From the wind animations to the burned down houses, or hell, even just going outside in general, is just beautiful. And this goes the same for the darker parts too. At times this game is truly trying to make you feel like you're alone in the darkness with something waiting for you, and the art perfectly complements that too. Now, would this really be a review if we didn't talk about the problems? I would say the main problem or for better words, issue with this game is the downtime in between locations. To be honest, this game does give more of a Minecraft with shaders feel, where you can find your next destination or your next clue just by wandering around and searching through caves, or searching piece by piece for evidence to solve a problem, or just searching forever just to find progression to the next part of the story. But there's also one other thing too. To be honest, I'll say I've played this game 3 times, and inside those 3 times I never really read the notes whatsoever. And to be honest, I was completely confused of how this game would turn out and how the endings always happened, because it never really made sense to me. Don't get me wrong, Ethan's notes make sense. There's the whole point of you having to find, read, and understand what's going on to pretty much explain the background lore and to help move along with the plot. But I would say the main key problem with Ethan's notes is just how many there is. There's always constantly a note around the corner, and it feels like the notes was one of the biggest game aspects when playing this, and I think that's kind of a critical problem. One thing I would say is that I would dumb down the notes just a little bit more and add more family situations or more puzzles that need to be solved within. That also tags in with the downtime too. Walking from different location like I said before, this is one of the key problems of where I'm coming from. Instead of spending all that time finding my way from the bridge to the cemetery, I could just be solving problems as I'm getting to the cemetery, leading up to the next location piece by piece by piece. Don't get me wrong though, this game does do good with the locations that it goes into, and it does do a good job at making a mystery for when you do get to the locations. It's just that it feels like 80% of this game truly is just reading the notes and solving the problem. And there's not that many problems, if that makes sense. It's just notes. But at the end of the day, I do believe that the notes are very impactful, and I do actually agree with them. So there's not that much of a big problem. They do a good job as they are just to stand still inside the game, but past that I would say that it's a very good point, but I would try my best to limit it down and add more action impact. Now I know it seems like there could have been a lot more to talk about with this game, but I wanted to try my best to stay spoiler free from this point, just to keep the true plot and the twist at the end and all the other stuff about the cults and so forth, and the true origin of the actual monster. Because believe me, even if you have a small peak of interest in the story, I would get it. It's a chilling story about watching people that you love turn into your biggest fear. It's a tale best left to the person to experience who's playing this game. But at least from here, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, make sure you have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time.